I heat up really fast, and my strategy is always keep layers. Putting a hood up is a layer. Having gloves is a layer. I've taken my gloves off. I have a thinner pair of gloves if I need it. All right, my lovers, thank you for tuning in my bike build. For those of you who have made comments, who have liked and subscribed, I appreciate it. Even the haters, you know what I'm saying? Like, most of the people leave really nice comments, but sometimes there are haters, and I'm like, you're welcome too, because you're never going to hurt my feelings on no YouTube video. So say what you need to say. Anyway, I wanted to make this video about talking about why I ride without a backpack and how I make it work. Now, I realized early on that I run really, really hot. And so it's like a balancing act, because when I stand still, I'm very, very cold. But as soon as I do any physical activity, I just start burning up. So I run really hot. And I realized that my layer game needs to be on point. And I have to be really, really, kind of obsessive about how I layer so that I do not overheat. And that is one of the reasons why I don't ride with a backpack, because every time I did that in the past, I would just get this hot patch on my back. And then, it would just cause me a lot of discomfort and sweating. I don't really love the weight distribution of having things on your back, and it's just not comfortable for me. So when I started riding, I realized that bike rack is super important to me. And I feel like the handlebar bags and things like that, frame bags, have become more popular in the past, where people are riding bikes without, holes for racks and everything. So my go-to is always going to be that pannier, especially when I'm running errands, going to the grocery store, things like that. So bike bags, frame bags, rack and panniers. I even use a little hip pack, a little fanny pack around your hip to hold things at times. And so that's one of my go-tos when I ride. I really just don't wear any backpacks. And, I just like that feeling of being able to go long distances and have freedom when I ride. Now, one of the problems sometimes is that, you don't necessarily need a pannier, and maybe you have like a small backpack or you just have a bike that I have a couple bikes that don't have frames on them. I was just like, I tried a frame on them, and then I realized, hey, I want at least one of my bikes to be completely, when I say frame, bike rack, I wanted it to be completely without a bike rack. So sometimes when I'm filming, it's kind of one of the reasons why I only tend to use one camera when I film, because I can wear that camera around my neck and I just don't have anywhere else to put the cameras. If I'm on the Poseidon, I could put cameras in the bag, the pannier of the Poseidon. But then also, it's almost like I kind of want to have fun when I'm riding. I don't necessarily want to be like a film crew as I'm riding. So I feel like that's kind of informs the style of my channel, where you see it's mostly footage of me riding through Seattle and then a voiceover talking about it afterwards, is because I really don't want to be carrying a ton of stuff on my bike unless I really need to, or unless I'm going on an adventure, or, I'm going like super long distances where, I'm going to want to bring extra food and things like that. But mostly I try to make sure that my rides are short enough that I can basically carry everything in that front bag. And then also, you have the saddle bag at the back, which it's funny, I tend to not use that a ton, but it's like, if you're going long distances and you have lights that need to be recharged, I might bring an extra light in there. I might bring a multi-tool. Always bring a multi-tool, my friends, because it'll save you certain situations, or, someone else you're riding with might need it. For those of you who have been wondering about that, you are riding with a backpack and you're like, there must be a better way. Well, there is a better way. So I would say if you're a commuter, you're going to work, you're picking up groceries and stuff like that, really try to get a rack and put a pannier on it. Now, the problem with that obviously is that you got to really be like, hey, I'm dedicated to riding a bike regularly. So honestly, this is advice for someone who's like trying to make that transition to be like, hey, I want to be on my bike a lot more. I think that's a transition for people who have made that decision to say, hey, I actually really want to be out there riding my bike on a regular basis. But if you're just going short distances and you're still kind of wondering, hey, should I do this? Should I not? I say, and if you can handle a backpack, it's fine. But I would say, yeah, if you're going to
engage in longer journeys and really start adventuring as a cyclist, I would ditch that backpack. Now, I have friends that are like swear by the backpack and they're like, it makes me feel balanced on my bike. So one of my friends, Bryn, who's an exceptional athlete, she swears by the backpack. She's like, if I don't wear it, I don't feel as balanced. And I just think she probably doesn't run as hot as I do. Some people run hot, some people run cold, some people are in the middle. But I'm just one of those people in the wintertime, if I even on super cold days, 36-degree days, I will sweat a lot. And so I really have to, manage that because, when you're riding long distances and you're taking breaks and you're taking breaks. And if you sweat a lot and take a break and that sweat starts to cool in the winter air, it can be uncomfortable. So especially for winter riding, I've decided, a long time ago, actually, I've been riding with rack and panniers for many years now. And I didn't know what they were when I was riding. Again, I came from like riding Toys R Us bikes and Walmart bikes and things like that. I didn't know the difference, but then I would I hung out with these, my housemates at the time rode all the time. They rode like 5 miles, 10 miles to work. I'm like, how do you make that work? And then, I kind of learned from them. And so now I'm pushing that game onto you. So, get yourself a rack, get yourself a cheap pannier. If you're in Seattle, one that's waterproof, absolutely. But, if you live in a different type of climate, you kind of know what you can get away with. All right, it was just a short video to talk about kind of why I don't use backpacks and why I just ride with the pannier and rack and those front bike bags. I'll try to leave some links in the description for some of the products that I've used to help. And we'll talk soon.